See if I can get a better look on it. You see that? Oh, come on. Goes all the way across. It was part of the mold. So the mold that they used, they just added hair to make longer hair. They just added to it. And so that mold had this little line in it. That's how detailed this is. That is actually like what the original mold looked like. And it had that little line in it. I always remember, you can even feel it when you put your finger over it. And I always remember that. Hello there. Am I unmuted? I am. Hi. Good morning. My robe's getting caught on my chair. Hold on. How do the Jedi have gaming chairs? Because it's getting caught everywhere. Hello. Happy Star Wars Day, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Hey, this is really loud. Oh, shoot. I left my phone over there. Hold on. How cool would it be if I like rigged up something to call my phone to my hand? I didn't, but how cool would that be? Okay. I have a little Stream Deck thing going on here. Well, happy May the 4th. It is a very special day. It is not only Star Wars Day, but it is also Mrs. Nonder's birthday. And believe me, we're going to be making a huge deal out of that as well. But hello, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed that. This was $15 on Amazon. Let's take that off. There we go. Hello there. The Phantom Menace this morning is Pirate Eggs. Congratulations for the 44th time. A roundhouse kick of hydration. I could use it. I've been scrambling to get this ready. Good morning, Ursa. Good morning, Lars. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes for Mrs. Nodder. She's currently out on her chair out there, dozing off. I can't. It's dripping everywhere. I don't know if she came upstairs last night and then came back down, or if she just slept down here. Don't read into that. We do that a lot. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Ursa, may the 4th be with you. Happiest birthday to Mrs. Nonder and all other Force babies. Yeah. Reminds me that you have to wish your dad a happy birthday as well. Bum, bum. I just see a bunch of OMGs. Young Nonder Wan. Young. Well, Pirate Eggs, you're too kind. This is much warmer than I thought it would be. It's not that thick. Ooh, I can do this whole thing too. Do you want me to give you any sage Jedi advice? The robe kind of works for me, doesn't it? My friend loves sleeping on the couch. She finds it comfy. It just kind of depends on what's going on, you know? What's up, Coleman? Good morning. Oops, I thought you were the evil guy. Ams, I really hope that you learn, especially you. I hope that you learn a lot today. That's my goal. My goal is to ignite a passion for Star Wars in Ams. And if we were to accomplish that, we would be fine. There's another roundhouse kick of hydration from Pirate Eggs, which I think I need anyway. Someone needs to moderate Ams. Could just be naked. No. This is the black t-shirt. I wanted to get like a full-on Jedi robe, but I was like, you know what? One of these days I will for like a con or something. But like for right now, for just one stream, I'll just get a cheap $15 thing on Amazon and just call it a day. But yeah, I wore all black underneath. So I was decent. I was wearing shorts when I first started, and I did a quick test and stood up, and it was me in the Jedi robe, and then you just see my white legs and then my crew socks halfway up my shins. And it was definitely a look. But I decided to go get the my pants instead. I've had this thing for a long time. This is the... Oh, I need to clean it. Look how grimy. This is the Force Effects Anakin Skywalker Episode 3 lightsaber. This is from 2000... I don't know what... When did Episode 3 come out? 2005? So this is probably from like 2006 or something. You know. To be fair, I thought Jedi were brown. The Emperor is black. This is brown. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's a very dark brown. Isn't Anakin the bad guy? It's complicated. It's complicated. At this point, no. But very shortly after, yes. From a certain point of view. Anakin's the dad guy. Exactly. Okay. All right. Well, we got a lot of stuff to get to today. So maybe we should just jump right into it, huh? I plan on doing a couple of different tier maker things here. And if we finish these relatively quickly, which I kind of think this one might go quick, the second one might not go as quick. If we finish these relatively quickly, I think we might play Lego Fortnite the rest of the morning, because there's been a new Star Wars update today. Actually, I think it came out a couple days ago, that allows you to get lightsabers in Lego Fortnite, and I'm very excited about that. So we might go do that if we end up with some time. Obviously, it being Mrs. Nodder's birthday. As soon as Zeke gets up, as long as he doesn't get up too early, we might call it around 8, because we have presents to give her, and then we're gonna try to go do her favorite thing in the world, which is go out to breakfast as a family. So you might expect that we end stream maybe sometime around 8 a.m. So in about two-ish hours, you know. Be right back. Gonna paint my bedroom on Star Wars Day. Don, I can't believe you made me get up at 6:30 a.m. on a Saturday. Coleman, I'm so glad you're here. You didn't have to, though, but I'm glad you're here. Excuse me. Yeah, I think the Lego Fortnite should be cool. So, how many hours is 8? 8 in? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Why was I having trouble reading that? So it's 6:30 right now. Yeah, so it'd be like an hour and a half, right? And it just depends. If sometimes Zeke will sleep in if it's rainy outside and the sun doesn't come out right away. So if he ends up giving us a little bit more time, that would be cool too. So yeah, an hour and a half or so. Yeah. I'm just being dramatic. I want to be there. Happy birthday, Mrs. Nunn. Thank you. At any moment, she'll probably show up. It just depends on when she wakes up. Okay, anyway. I refuse maths. Same. I panic. Anytime somebody says me, what is this plus this? Or times, I kind of panic a little bit. Anyway, so I've been meaning to do something on stream for a very long time. I've been meaning to talk to you all about every single Star Wars film. Just the films, not including the Clone Wars film. Sorry. It's just not on here. I'll tell you where it ranks, I suppose, but these are just the mainline films. And instead of doing your typical S tier and ranking things like I could have a couple of movies here, I'm actually doing a 1 to 11. So there's 11 mainline Star Wars films, not including the Clone Wars. Okay, then about Clone Wars was my favorite. Hey, I know that's not true. I was trying to think of something more boring I could do. You're going to go watch paint dry on Star Wars Day? Holy cow. Speaking of which, my Lego Star Wars order should be showing up sometime today as well. So I'm very excited about that. Good morning, Clumsy. Happy Star Wars Day. Can't believe you don't have the holiday special in there. So I didn't make this one. This one was just already created, so don't blame me. But it's... I don't know. I mean, I could put all the Ewok films in here. I could put the droid film. So I'm just keeping it to mainline. That's what we're calling it. Which I don't believe any of those are canon anyway. Clone Wars movie is a decent intro into the Clone Wars series. I consider it part of the Clone Wars series and should be should be on a Clone Wars episode tier list and not on a movie list. I know it was released in theaters, but, you know, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying the Clone Wars movie is bad. It's, you know, the low point of Clone Wars, but the high point is season 7. Holy cow. Okay, anyway. So this is going to require me to put a foot in the sand, a line in the sand, and put my foot down. Those are the two expressions that I mixed into one. Put a line in the sand and tell you all what I consider, at least currently, to be my favorite Star Wars movie. I think this tier right here and this tier right here are going to be the worst ones. I'm going to put this one as red, and let's put this one as green. I don't really want to mess with the rest of these. Let's just do, hey, if this is red, I should have done this before, I apologize. If this is red, then this is orange. Then this is this yellow. Then this is yellow. This one, whoops. How did that happen? That's weird. This one, this 7 is going to be the more green. We're getting more into the positive. We'll change all this. Green, darker green. 5, a nice blue. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Saw it in theaters when it was good when I was a kid. That's so cool though. That's great. Hang on, I'll do the X-Wing thing in just a minute. 3.
It's Chuck Norris's water.
It's
a roundhouse kick of hydration.
2. That one, and then 1. Ooh, 1's gonna be black. Jeez. Can I make that any other? How about a gray? Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Now we got our colors. Let me throw the helmet on. Again, I think it's a good introduction to the Clone Wars series and should be treated as such, you know. All right, here we go. Yeah, that Anakin picture that that Clumsy put in Discord is pretty top tier. If you haven't seen that yet, I recommend it. I didn't time that one quite right. Roundhouse kick of hydration. Oh boy, this might be difficult. I need a straw for this. Okay, yeah, I can wear it a little while. I'll wear it until it gets unsufferably hot because I'm already feeling it. I almost feel like I should just wear this robe every single stream. Should I just make this my stream persona? I feel like maybe I should just make this my stream persona, but we'll see. Okay, well, let's get into it. Oh boy. Okay, these are in order. So we have our classics. We have A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. These ones are so hard for me, guys, because I've seen them so many times. They're obviously good. They're the classics. However, gosh, this is hard to even say. Are they my favorites? They're pretty high. I actually think A New Hope is pretty high. A New Hope is pretty good. Empire is better than A New Hope. And Return of the Jedi... Return of the Jedi is better than New Hope. Okay, I think I'm actually kind of comfortable with that. Now, just because they're here in this ranking right now doesn't mean that I'm not gonna move them around. One of the things I wanted to do is I'm gonna say some relatively critical things about some of the films further down here. But what I want to make sure everybody understands is that even my worst ranked Star Wars movie, whatever you see here, which some of you know what it's going to be, even my worst ranked Star Wars movie, there is things about it that I actually greatly enjoy. I like all Star Wars, just about. No, really, I do. But there are some things about, especially about like 2 movies in particular, that I'm a little harder on. So in addition to saying some things that are bad about a film, I also want to say some things that are good, that are positive, that are nice about the film. So same with these ones. These ones I rank up here, I can't just give all glowing positives, right? I gotta say the good and the bad, right? So I'm gonna try to do that. It's hard to drink and fly, it is. Um, Jedis are tough, Non. I think. Tough it out with the Force. I think. You think Jedi are tough. Can you also name them as episode numbers for those who don't know all the names? Absolutely. Episode 4, which is A New Hope. Episode 5, is Empire. And episode 6 is Return of the Jedi. Yep. Thank you, Coleman. So episode 4, which is the first Star Wars film. Confusing, right? What I love about this one is I love the pacing in A New Hope more than anything else. It is not a movie that you feel like you have to slog through. It picks up its pace rather nicely and moves from one event to the other. I think I like the fact that it's kind of like a self-contained adventure. If you didn't want to watch any other Star Wars, you could watch A New Hope and just go, cool, there we go. You know, everything else can be headcanon, right? And in fact, when it was first made, it was just called Star Wars. It wasn't called A New Hope. Didn't have an episode title. That was a later retcon that Lucas did, which is one of my gripes about Star Wars in general, is not having a very clear vision and plan for the franchise, including Lucas. So A New Hope, though, I like how it kind of stands on its own. You get to meet the characters for the first time, so you can be like, you know what, this is really great. There's Mrs. Nonder. OMG, you're so cute. Well, thank you. Look at this. Hey, look. Hey, this works over this. Gosh, she's gonna make me blush, right? Okay. So some of the things that pull A New Hope back a little bit, I think, are basically the limitations of the technology of the day. Which is going to be kind of a common theme throughout the older movies. You can't really blame them, though, because, again, it's not their fault, you know? Let's see, what else negative can I say about A New Hope? I really like A New Hope. What else could I say? The lightsaber fights aren't as engaging as in other films, even other original trilogy films. And I think the last thing I would say about it is that it set up a lot of stuff that later on gets kind of brushed over. For example, Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to Luke about his father and all this stuff he said about his father. And later on him having to say, well, what I told you was true from a certain point of view. So really my nitpicks about A New Hope are really more about just like, I don't think Lucas knew what he had. And how could he, you know? But then he kind of turned the story into what he wanted it to be after the fact. And I think now, looking back at it, that's one of its weaknesses, is that it doesn't, it's a little bit confusing. Once you start getting into Empire and Return of the Jedi, you're like, okay, interesting. But that's probably about all I could say negative about it. Otherwise, it's a very great film. It is a wonderful film. You should see it in the theater. And it's got great pacing. And it's fun. It is very fun. I think it's required viewing. If Poe were a Jedi, that does it for you, huh? Okay. All right. Well. Next, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is also very fun. I think actually the negative thing I would say about Return of the Jedi would be the pacing as well. Whereas A New Hope has good pacing, I think Return of the Jedi has a little less good pacing. It's a little bit of a slog, especially the Endor stuff. I enjoy it. I love it. I love the little Ewoks. The little Ewoks are great. But it's kind of a, what would you say? I'm trying to it's so hard to think of negative things to say about these films because I really only have positive things to say. I love the Darth Vader and Luke fight scenes. I guess the only thing I would say I don't really like is when those scenes are going hard and really good, and then they cut away into the forest, and it's like, just go back, just go back to that. Now, Empire does also have its pacing issues too, Coleman. Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I think overall, let's talk about Empire next. Overall, I think I like Empire more than the rest of them. A lot of that has to do with the escape scene in the asteroids with the Millennium Falcon. Oh, that's so cool. But yeah, it can also be a slog. So there's the negative thing that we can say about Empire Strikes Back. But the soundtrack in Empire Strikes Back, that song that they play when they're flying through the asteroids trying to get away from the TIE fighters and stuff. Oh, it gets me every time. Lando Calrissian, like, come on. Like, just good characters, good development, a good twist ending, which I won't spoil for AMS. Just probably cream of the crop when it comes to the original trilogy, really. I think I'm pretty happy with, at least in the ranking of the original trilogy, how those three work together. Poe's from the last ones, from the sequels, yeah. If Poe were insert literally anything here, would do it for me too. Sorry, Mursa, if you're lurking. See, I get it. I get it. If I'm honest, I think Empire's at the bottom of the original trilogy for me. Wow, really? I can understand that, though. This is a hard ranking. What I consider these to be is kind of more like one thing. It's if I had to do like the ranking I wanted to do, it would be like ranking the prequels, the original, and the sequels together. And ooh, that would be hard though to say which one's my favorite though. But I do consider them all to be kind of like one particular thing. So the fact that they're this high on the list shows, how much I like them. So now these might change now that I have them in this order. This might drop down. This might drop down. But I think in the order of these films, I think it makes sense. I watched the Family Guy Star Wars. I'm spoiled. Jeez, spoiled everything. Family Guy. It is actually pretty funny. All right, so now that we got that semi-sorted, episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I kind of wish that this weekend we had been able to go see this in theaters again, because I would have a fresh pair of eyes on it. And having never seen it in theaters myself, I was prime age for the sequels, or for the prequels, sorry. When they came out in theaters, I was a prime age for this. And but at the time, my parents didn't let any of us go see movies in theaters. And by the time Revenge of the Sith came out, I was old enough to just go by myself. I actually went with a guy that I worked with. But at that point, it was like, you can't tell me what to do, Mom. I'm going to go be rebellious and watch Star Wars. When did Phantom come out? 1999, right? Yeah, I think it was 99. I used to be an Empire fanboy because that's all I saw online. But when I decided to not let people influence my thoughts, I restructured that. Man, I went through a very similar thing with that. This is a great time to talk about this because it's prequel talk. So when these were first announced, these movies, I was over the moon that we were going to get new Star Wars. I was growing up in an era where this is all we had. These 3 movies, and that's it. Yes, you had Expanded Universe, and those were great, and I did read some of those books, but I wasn't there. So when you were 3 when it came out, God, I'm so old. Oh, God. Anyway, no, I was like the prime age for the prequels. And had my circumstances in life been a little bit different, I would be just as hyped about the prequels as everybody else. Now, I've come to appreciate them more later, but here's what happened, okay? Time out, Coleman. Just for saying how old we are? What do you mean? I may be playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. I need Oswald. That's fine. Mrs. Nonder might be doing the same thing. That or Stardew. Good morning, Blue. How's it going? Everyone's timing me out lately. Yeah, you just made us feel old. That's it. That's your only crime. Okay, so when these came out in theaters, our family had a rule: no movie theaters. I was allowed to watch Star Wars. Star Wars was pretty big in my family. My oldest brother was very into it, especially these. And let me just say it this way. Let me just say that, like, let me think of how to say this. Banj, happy Star Wars Day. Live long and prosper. I'm folding towels right now, but yes, I have been playing both. Is there, let's see. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody else. There's Blue. Okay. So they come out in theaters. I'm not able to see them until they come out on VHS. And I remember the day that we got this VHS for episode 1, and watched it, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I remember this feeling greatly that I loved it. Episode and the grumblings though amongst the fandom. I'm trying to put this nicely. All I'm gonna say is people that I knew who were older than me, who grew up during this era, right? This was their Star Wars. And now this is the new Star Wars. And they had some strong opinions about it. That's some very strong opinions about the new Star Wars. They didn't like it. They didn't like Jar Jar Binks. They thought it was silly. They didn't like, all the political intrigue. They thought it was silly. And so I want you to understand where my headspace is as a young, impressionable child who was not exposed to a broader world until much later in my life. And not exposed to positivity about Star Wars when these were like the thing that was out. You know, I'm a Jar Jar disliker. It's okay. It's okay for people to be like, hey, I don't like that part of it. That's not like the litmus test that I have if you hated Jar Jar. I'm not a huge Jar Jar fan either, but I have softened on the character over the years, and I don't care as much anymore, you know. My boyfriend at the time bought me over bootleg with Thai subtitles. I was never so happy to have spent zero money on a movie. Oof. It is, Ams, like, all jokes aside, it's completely fine, but it is funny to joke with you about that. I think right now we're in a time where we need to be gracious to people who don't like Star Wars or who don't like current Star Wars. However, those people need to be more gracious with those of us who do and just allow people to like what they like. I think Ams would never come at me and like call me names because I liked Star Wars because she didn't like Star Wars. You know, I hope not. I mean, other than maybe in jest, but because we do joke about that quite a bit, but there's a whole section of fans right now who, if you like any of the things on this side, then you're gonna see some ire, and I'm about to make some people mad, so that's fine. Ams would come at you, but definitely not call you names. Yeah. When you said my boyfriend at the time, I was like, wait, non, I didn't know this about you. There's so much you don't know about me. Then I realized you're reading a comment. Yeah, sorry. Suddenly hopeful. Sorry, I'm taken. I don't have my I wanted to get that Star Wars ring before today. I still haven't ordered it yet. I need to get it sized. Not hopeful. I ain't getting anywhere in the way of Wonderful Misses. Yes. Just wasn't aware that was something, you know. I wouldn't say I'm a new Star Wars fan, not because it's not good, but because there's so much of it now. I'm old and I only have so much time. That's a great point. We should talk about that a little bit later. I didn't order it yet. I got to get the size thing. I got to print off the size thing and then figure out what my ring size is and then order it. But hopefully they're still on sale. They were relatively cheap, so I'm hoping they're still on sale. Okay, so in a household amongst people who were flaming these movies, Episode 1 came out. It didn't seem like such a big deal. My oldest brother, he recorded for me. They played the soundtrack of Episode 1 on, was it on like PBS or public radio or something? They played the whole soundtrack, and so he recorded it for me on a cassette tape. And when I tell you I wore out that cassette tape, wore it out, because the music in Episode 1 is so incredible. So incredible. So I got some nostalgia for Episode 1. And I don't think the hate for Star Wars really kind of started too much until maybe closer to here. But it was somewhere in here where it was at its height. And this is the thing I'm seeing right now with people in the current trilogy who are like, ugh, I only like the original trilogy and the prequels, not this new stuff. It's like you guys are doing the exact same thing that the people I was influenced by were doing when the prequels came out. They're like, ugh, the prequels, they're horrible. They're the worst things ever. When there's these kids around them who are like, I kind of liked it. Like, I guess I see what you're saying. I guess Jar Jar is kind of silly. I guess the acting is kind of, I get, you know, like they're when that's all you're exposed to, that kind of negativity, It's just horrible. So the second thing that happened during this time period, my cheeks are like rubbing up against them. The second thing that happened during this time period is the internet, right? Like the internet really started exploding, and dialogue around these episodes. Obviously the internet was before, but you know what I mean. My time on the internet was finally here. And that's when I started joining forums and Lego Star Wars specifically, and dialogue about Star Wars started to become a big part of my life. And this is when, in combination with people I knew in real life, in combination with people that the current Star Wars dialogue at the time I was a kid, was that the prequels were bad. I'm sorry, that is just what it was, because older people, a little bit older than me, were online. They had established an online presence. They were the people who were running the sites. They were the people who were established and had been on there for years. And so when these people spoke, they spoke with such authority that it's like, oh, okay. And I'm not even talking like that old, Clumsy. I'm talking just like a couple years older than us. Like they had just gotten online a little bit before. And they infected the fan base with such negativity surrounding the prequels that it was almost impossible for me to be like, hey, I do actually like them. But I remember a time where I did like them, especially episode 1. I was aghast with how much I liked it. Is that a term? I don't know. That's probably not the right use of that term. Okay, so let's see. Let me get caught up. It is so worth it. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about what I would recommend somebody do if they just want to like dip their toe back in, because I think because it does feel like it's very daunting, and I can understand that. Kind of when we were talking with Spooky during his Star Wars stream, I kind of got that impression too, that I'm like, how would I get somebody interested back in it again? And I really do think that there's more out there than you might think, and it's also easier than you might think, but I also understand the like, another Star Wars thing. If you're not in it, it can be really hard to keep up with. So was it Rogue One that was the one that showed the bit in the lead up to episode 4? Fantastic. It was, and it is fantastic. Okay, so I set the scene for the prequels for you, right? People I hung around didn't like it. The internet was very bad on it. The same people right now who were on the internet when there was so much prequel hate are doing the exact same thing to the sequels. I'm telling you, they're doing the same thing. You know you are. Again, I'm not forcing anybody to say they like any Star Wars. It's fine. But don't pretend like the same thing isn't happening to the sequels that happened to the prequels right now. That's my main point. I was there. What is it? What's that expression? Do not quote, what is it? Do not quote the old law to me. I was there when it was written. What was that from? I forget. Anyway, that's set the scene. That's how I feel about that. However, now I'm going to go trash the prequels. The prequels suck, dude. They're horrible. Excuse me. Don't quote the dark magic to me. Thank you. Narnia. That was that was Aslan, right? Do not quote dark magic to me. I was there when it was written or formed. I think written. Yeah, so don't quote the dark magic to me. I was there when it was written. Okay? I have experience in this, and I saw it firsthand, and it makes me so mad when there's people out there now who's like, the only good Star Wars is the original trilogy and the prequels. The sequels suck. And it's like, you were... And it's all going to happen again, guys. It's all going to happen again. The people who grew up with these films right here, who gave them a chance, who didn't care that it was a woman leading it, who didn't care about all that culture war nonsense, emphasis on the who don't care about that stuff, they greatly appreciate these. And when they get older and they find their voice and they're able to speak out against this, which a lot of them are already, there's going to be a massive shift in the fandom again, and everyone's going to like the sequels again. Sorry, other than a few people, you know. I was there when it was written. Thank you. Got there eventually. Yeah. Jesus allegory line. Yes, exactly. I love a good Jesus allegory. C.S. Lewis was very anti-feminist. I didn't know that about C.S. Lewis, but it also doesn't surprise me. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. Anyway, okay. There's my spiel about the prequels. Now let's talk about the rankings. Episode 1, honestly, guys, is going to be pretty dang high. I might have to shift some stuff around. Is episode 1 a 2? And there's a lot of nostalgia around episode 1. Obviously, gosh, the pod racing scene is so good. It's so good. Here's some problematic things about episode 1, and I guess the prequels as a whole. I didn't like the age gap between a literal child Anakin and Padme. Now, the age gap, I think, is actually like less than you'd think, because they're like, oh, actually, Amidala is only 14, when it's like she's quite obviously a grown adult. But like in canon lore, they're like, she's only 14, but it's still weird. I still find that to make me a little uncomfy, just a little uncomfy. But I suppose there's nothing illegal happening here, but it is still kind of creepy. And there's a couple of things like that I feel throughout the whole Star Wars series, the whole saga, where it's just like, you know, like Luke kissing his sister. I was just kind of like, I know what it was. It was because Lucas didn't think it all the way through and then wanted to change it at the end to have another big reveal in Return of the Jedi. So he just didn't think it all the way through. Classic Lucas. Classic. Is the kid playing Anakin still alive? I know he had some major mental health issues as he got older. Very recently, his mother checked in with the internet and gave an interview with somewhere, I can't remember exactly where, but said that he's doing very well. He had checked into a mental health clinic. He's had years and years of therapy, and that he's doing quite well. And he actually is a Star Wars fan still, believe it or not. Now, she did say that like a lot of what happened to him wasn't necessarily because of the hate from Star Wars fans. That didn't help. That definitely contributed to it. But he was already having like mental health issues before that. And then, of course, that doesn't help. Right? That doesn't help. It was very good news. And they sent in a picture of him holding like an action figure from one of the new movies and looking very happy, posing with his mom. I could try to find the thing, but yeah, I think overall I really hope he's doing better and he continues to do better, because he definitely, everybody deserves to be happy and healthy, you know. This line of thinking, Lucas not thinking it through, keep that in your brain for when you get to the sequels. Oh, I will. Oh, don't you worry. I have one very glaring hot take about the sequels, that even though I really like them, there's one thing in particular that you'll see. Again, we're going to try. I'm not going to try to be just 100,000% positive, but I'm not going to be toxic in the way that most of these people are, you know? Okay. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It's got to rank high. I think I'm going to keep it there for right now. Oof. I liked episode 1 because of the movies that came before it. Gosh, do I like it more than the original trilogy, though? It's so good. The Duel of the Fates. There's something about episode 1. There's something about the way that it feels when you watch it. And maybe it's the nostalgia. But there's something about the way that it was shot, the way that the score is just probably the best of the entire saga. The pod racing, the sound of the pod racers. That's kind of one of the things I was looking forward to about seeing it in theaters again, is just hearing that sound. That I think Naboo is a beautiful planet. I think the intro, the very beginning of episode 1, like where the Jedi are flying in, and you get to see all these robed people, and then a couple seconds later you get to see lightsabers. Like, just imagine going from like nothing, going from like getting no Star Wars to just being like, there's 2 Jedi on screen right now, 2 lightsabers pop out, they're fighting with them, they're using the Force. Like, just put yourself in that mindset. I think I'm keeping it there for right now. It might not end up being number 2, but I think I'm keeping it there for right now. It's I think it might be my favorite prequel. If I had to go, guys, okay, this one's hard. Episode 2. Okay, hang on. I got to take this off for a second. It's very hot. I would love to see Clumsy. If you want to do you want me to give you this this link, and that way you can here? Can I just do? I would love it. Everybody else, if you also want to fill it out, let me go ahead and send it to you real quick. I'll put it in the Discord. Oh, actually, no. What am I doing? I'll put it in chat. I have it on presentation mode right now, but you can change that if you want. I'll put it in chat. If you want to do it at the same time, I'm sure that our list will be different. But also give me some time to work through it, you know? When we watched yesterday, Kay played that. Now this is pod racing. Yeah, of course he did. Brother, you. Okay. Attack of the Clones, guys. Remember when I said every Star Wars has things about it that I really like? Even my worst rated Star Wars has things about it that I really like. Elements to it that I think are wonderful. I hate to do this to you all, but I believe in my heart of hearts, and a lot of you know this about me, that Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones is my least favorite Star Wars movie. That being said, yeah, this is where Coleman gets triggered a lot. That being said, let me tell you some things I love about Attack of the Clones. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Phase 1 clone troopers. Jango Fett. the Jango and Obi-Wan asteroid chase with the bombs. Beautiful. Camino is gorgeous to look at. Those are all things I really appreciate about Attack of the Clones. The seismic charge. You're saying all the things that I agree with. I didn't buy the love story. I didn't feel... He's just going to keep going, so I'll just let you keep going. I didn't feel the chemistry. Whereas now I really greatly appreciate Hayden Christensen and his acting, and I think he's much better in Revenge of the Sith. And also understanding that a lot of that was also script that he was given. You know, I respect your opinion, but could you stop being wrong? I know this is where I lose some people, okay? And that's fine. That's fine. Just remember that it's my least liked Star Wars movie, but that doesn't make it a bad movie. And it doesn't make anyone else wrong for their opinion on it. The Coruscant chase is pretty cool too. The sand part, yeah. So dialogue is a big one for me. It just makes me roll my eyes occasionally. And again, we don't have to blame Hayden Christensen for that. We don't have to blame his delivery. We can blame script. We can blame whatever we want to blame on that. But, you know... Excuse me. I'm also not a super fan of like what the Clone Wars themselves turned into. It's fine, but it's just not really like what you would expect the Clone Wars to be. You wouldn't expect it to be about a clone Republic army fighting droids, you know? Like, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't really like that, you know? However, I think Episode 2 was very instrumental, obviously, in starting up the Clone Wars, in the lead into Revenge of the Sith. Like, it's a very important film for the whole saga, but it's just not my favorite. Even though, man, I'm looking at Jango sitting here, and I'm just like, man, he's so cool. I actually really like the whole Jango Fett thing. I like that he's like the pattern for the clones, and that Boba's a clone of Jango. Like, all that stuff, I actually was like, hey, that's kind of cool. You know, considering all the other things I've seen Hayden Christensen and have been really good at, I'm tempted not to blame him for not liking his character. Absolutely. I think you're right. Again, we can talk all day about whose fault it was or whatever. It doesn't really matter in the ranking. I do know that like actors themselves should not, the entire scene of her going from like, I want nothing to do with you to like the heavy breathing of that one scene just was like, okay, all right, cool. Now, could I do a better romance scene? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Could I have picked characters who had better chemistry? Absolutely not. I actually think in episode 3, their chemistry felt a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe it's just they had to get through that awkward dating phase, of which I'm sure we've all had. So I'm saying some negative things about it, but I'm also understanding that like there's definitely positive things about it. And I won't skip this movie. It's not like I hate it so much that I'm like, I'll never watch it. Mrs. Nonder knows I'll watch it. I actually think Zeke will really like Attack of the Clones when he gets a little bit older. I think he'll like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones just because like I think they're a lot more fun. The pacing is a lot better than some of the older ones. Now the pacing in episode 2 is actually kind of bad. I say that, but all Zeke is gonna want to see is Jango Fett and the clones and the jetpack and when he's fighting him with his lightsaber outside on Kamino on the landing pad, and he's fighting Jango Fett and he's flying around and it's raining. Like that's a great scene. It's a great scene. And Phase 1 clones I do think are the best clones. I kind of didn't like how clones started evolving, their armor rather started evolving into stormtrooper armor. So with so many different phases, like they lost me with the phases. I was like, I think it would have been better had it just always been Clone Wars clones Phase 1. And then when the Empire comes in and then they switch, I think they should have just made the switch to Stormtrooper. All the phases are so confusing to me. Like there's that guy on Twitter who does, I think his name's Cobalt or something like that. He does like all this like armor analysis on Phase 1 clones and why this one in this show and this is a Phase 3 Rex and this one it's wrong because this isn't how it looked in Clone. Like completely just much smarter about it than I am, but I never really liked it. Completely unrelated, I'm taking a nap outside in the sun. That sounds wonderful. Touch grass for me. What's that like? So episode 2, I hate to say it, guys, is my lowest ranked Star Wars film. At least as of right now. Maybe I can be convinced. All right, Banj, I see your IRL ban right now. I did not see it until just now. So we're going to start the clock now. I think it's 15 minutes, right? That is mean. That is very mean, but I'll take it. So if I say that word during the next 15 minutes, actually, I need to check. Hang on. Ban. Yeah, 15 minutes. I was like, maybe that doesn't sound. All right, I'm starting the countdown right now. If I say that word, which is going to be really hard not to. Excuse me. You think if somebody just says star, I'm just going to say it right away? Maybe. Keep me honest, everybody. I believe that you will, and let's move on. Okay. The juxtaposition, I think, between episode 1 and episode 2 is very interesting to me, with how much I like episode 1 and how much I really don't like episode 2. It's such a drastic change between the two. I find it funny. But hey, somebody's got to be on the bottom. Even if I loved all Star Wars, if you make a tier list, there's going to... I just said it. Okay, so Banj, it looks like you already have a subscriber badge. You can give it to... I went less than a minute before saying it. Do you want to pick somebody in... Easy, that was pretty easy. You want to pick somebody in chat to give a gifted sub to, or I can do random, either way. Holy cow, I can't believe I did that. Ms. Nonder? Well, it's up to Banj. Sorry. No, I don't want to influence that at all. Reminds me of the last time I did it. I think the word was ship or something. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I didn't say it, but that time I saw it. Give the sub to whoever you like. Is it too self-serving to give it to Mrs. Nonder? Boom, 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 boom. Jard. Hey, Jard. How's it going, buddy? There we go. I should be giving it to her anyway, right? She should just, I need to set her up on a recurring subscription. There you go. It is her birthday.
Ender gifted a tier 1 sub to MRSN0 Ender.
Thank you so much, Banj, for the gifted sub for me saying a word to my wife on her birthday. Happy birthday, babe. Babe. Jared, how you doing this morning? Yeah, I really think she should have one by default. I just need to go onto her Twitch and hook up the card and like get her on a recurring. But, you know. Okay, anyway. It feels weird to spend my own money to give her a sub to give money back. But I guess it's sort of like getting a discounted sub, right? I should probably eat breakfast because I have a long Star Wars day ahead of me. Coleman, what are you doing? You said that the other day too, but I don't know if I know exactly what your plans are. Okay, next, episode 3. Episode 3 ranks a little bit higher for me. One, because like it's so exciting. There's so much stuff that happens in episode 3. Order 66 is incredibly emotionally impactful. Where would I put you? You know, actually, I think I might be comfortable there at 6. I think that makes me comfortable. At least for right now. I think I like the originals more. I think I like episode 1 more. Yeah, so I'm comfortable with that. It might move around when we get to the sequels are going to be the one thing. Let's see. What do I have what's something critical I could say of episode 3? Episode 3 at 6? You know, it is what it is. 6 is respectable. There's 11 films. 6 is pretty good, you know? I'm picking up those 2 Lego helmets on the way to a Star Wars Unlimited tourney at noon. Then I go to a Star Wars Unlimited League at a different game store at 6. Holy cow. Wish I could have played Outer Rim this weekend. Man, when would you have had time? Okay, so I've said some things nice about episode 3, some bad things. What about you guys? Do you have anything critical to say about episode 3? I guess the only thing I would say is that I wish the fall of Anakin Skywalker had happened a little more gradually. I know it technically kind of did because in episode 2 he killed all those Tusken Raiders. I always wonder about that too. That's actually a criticism of episode 2. It's like that's a very obvious dark side thing to happen, right? That was definitely bad. And what caused him to not fall to the dark side there when he literally murders people? Why was that not his moment to fall to the dark side? And you can argue that like it did kind of start him down that path, but it's like, yeah, and Padme just rolled with it. Exactly. Okay, so there's some more criticism of episode 2. I do wish that there had been more of he fell to the dark side at the end of episode 2. That'd be wild. Now, of course, you have the whole Clone Wars things to get through. But imagine if he was like secretly a dark side user for like most of the Clone Wars, right? But instead, in the Clone Wars, what we got was a very heroic Anakin, which I think is fine, totally fine. I mean, part of the thing that is tragic about his fall is how much he was respected, how good of a person he was, and how you can still fall at that point. But like, I think it would have been cool rolling into episode 3 to kind of already have a dark side Anakin, and then have the entire movie be that way. So that would have been kind of cool. But what I do love that scene where he's like trying to decide if he's going to go stop them from arresting the Emperor. And it's like this, they got John Williams' score in the background. And it's like this silence, and he's just staring out over Coruscant, and she's on the other side staring out. It gets me every time. Every time I'm like, whoa, like that is just tense. It's so good. There are a few dark side moments in the Clone Wars. So that's what I don't understand though, is like, guess I don't get why he definitely has dark side moments before then, but like none of them cause him to quote unquote fall to the dark side, when arguably they were far more savage and horrible acts than, or as equally as horrible as what he did to the Tusken Raiders. So I guess I don't understand why, what makes someone fall to the dark side. I guess we don't really know. For Frostwalker1, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you. So I guess we don't really know what that means. I guess it's like, you know it when you see it. You know it when it happens, but there isn't any one thing that happens, you know? Episode 3 is the one that Zeke had that weird laughing fit. Yeah, so I was watching it when he was a baby, and when Anakin is like has his red eyes and they're about to duel, and he goes, "You turned her against me." He goes, "Liar, you turned her against me." And Zeke was a baby, and he died. He's like, we have that on video, don't we? Don't we have that video, Mrs. Nonder? I almost feel like posting that in the Discord sometime. Yeah, so cute. It was very cute. Yeah. So anyway, I think because people who have heard of Tuskens figured they were savage, sure, but like, just because people thought of that doesn't mean that him killing them was like, somehow the light side would have been cool with that. You know, like, I think of it as like the Force being somewhat intelligent, right? And when you use dark side powers, it like corrupts you. And that was like him. He tapped into that anger, you know? Like, he tapped into it and used it. And as far as I knew about the dark side, that means that you fell to the dark side, you know? You know. That's a weird thing to bring up, Frost. Sorry about that, but that's a weird first message. But Padme was like, "You're avenging your mom who they brutalized." But revenge is not the Jedi way. Avenge or revenge. It felt a lot like revenge to me. I don't know. It's just, I guess maybe you can like commit a dark side act and then be like, whoa, I don't want anything to do with that, and backed away. But he didn't, you know. Yeah. Listen, it's just a weird thing to bring up on a random Twitch, which makes me feel like it's a bot, but you know. You won't find any support for cheaters on here, you know, regardless of who started it. Code's here. What's up, Code? How you doing? Yeah, Ams, you can go ahead. Do your thing. All right, so that's kind of my plus and minuses of episode 3, but episode 3 is still pretty good. It's very like, it's very emotional, especially from like Order 66 on. The thing is just an emotional ride, and it's if you watch the final season of Clone Wars like back to back with this, there's an edit out there that you can probably find where they take because in Clone Wars season 7 it backs right into Revenge of the Sith and kind of shows you what's happening to Ahsoka while all this stuff is happening, and there's an edit that splices it all together, and it's brutal. It's brutal and it's wonderful. And man, Clone Wars season 7 really redeemed that entire series for me. It's so good. Most of it's so good. I guess I would say like the last few episodes are really good. Didn't pass the vibe check. Yeah. I have a very real feeling that was just a bot, that was like a weird, like copy pasta kind of thing. But either way, I don't think you want somebody like that in your community anyway. It's a very weird thing to say, as your first message, you know? I just said ads, then back to you for a second. Now I'm in ads again? Really? That shouldn't happen. I see Bebo say the ads have ended. Yeah, you shouldn't get into another ad. I only have like a 30-second ad running every hour, I think. So that's very weird if they threw you into another one. Sorry about that, Blue. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to say about episode 3. Definitely warmed on it over the years. So, fun story actually about episode 3. So, by the time this came out, I was not like an adult, but I was out of the house. I was working with a guy who from our church who was a handyman, and I learned a lot from him. And we would have days like where we would do like mowing on a certain day of the week, and then do a roof job, do a whole bunch of stuff. Whoa.
Amzo6060 gifted a tier 1 sub to Blue Seals 420. They have given 5 gift subs in the channel.
That is too kind of you. Thank you so much for that. No more ads for you. What is the Mrs. favorite Star Wars? Great question. Mrs. Nonder, are you still here? I would love to hear your favorite Star Wars. But yeah, I was working with a handyman, doing a lot of manual labor, but also eating a ton of fast food. And that is where I gained my most weight. That's where it all started, guys. That's where it happened. I used to be very skinny. That's where it all kind of went downhill. A handyman for the church. Did you work with Jesus? No, his name was Billy. He personified if his name was Billy Bob, I would have believed it. Good guy. Like, well, as far as I know, good guy. We had a lot of fun. And yeah, so like occasionally what we do is like we'd work in the mornings and we'd go get lunch. We'd go back to his house and we'd like watch TV and fall asleep on the couch and then like go out and do a couple things in the afternoon. And so one day he was like, yeah, I know you like Star Wars. Are you going to see that new Star Wars movie? And my parents still kind of had that rule of like, we don't go to theaters, but I was like, yeah, I really want to see it. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to. And he's like, let's go today. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, let's go. So he like put it on. He found a time for it. We went and saw it. The problem was we'd been working all day and I was exhausted. And I'm ashamed to tell you this. I almost fell asleep during episode 3. Right before he like made that decision to go after Mace Windu, during that scene, that tense scene, kind of like right before that, I was like, it wasn't the movie's fault. It was my fault. I was too tired. I should have said we should do it on a different day, like in the middle of the day. It was like the end of a work day. I remember being skinny and thinking I was not. Same. Yeah, even then, like I didn't get as big as I am now. Holy cow. You know? Yes, I'm here. I can tell you my least favorite Rogue One. I know why. Rogue One wasn't her favorite. I think it was it's a little slow for her, and then also the fact that everyone dies. Sorry, spoilers. I think that would be it, right? Alb, how's it going, Alb? How you doing? Literally everyone dies. That's her biggest complaint in movies, is if it isn't necessarily about it being a happy ending, just that like if literally everyone dies, she's like, what was the point? He didn't tell me everyone would die. It was a rookie mistake. Rookie move. I don't think I told you. I thought it was a joke. I don't think I told you about the end of Rise of Skywalker either. All right, yes, what's the update? Mom gave me 1,200, but it's because all 200 I will combine into one. Excuse me. Awesome, you're moving on. It's gonna be so cool when you finally get one. We're like, yes, you did it. Good job. I know people were mad that Jen and Cassian didn't kiss. I'm not mad about that, but it gives me a gripe. Whole nother gripe. So let's get to it. All right. That's episode 3. I almost fell asleep during episode 3 when I first saw it. It's not because it was a bad movie. It's because I was a tired boy who was eating fast food all day and doing manual labor. Okay. Next. This is where some things are going to have to shift around a little bit, because next is The Force Awakens. And if I could go back in time to not too long ago, 2017, and see this movie all over again for the first time, I would. Because guys, I gotta tell you, it's gotta be, oops, don't mess with the order. It's gotta be up there. I really like The Force Awakens. I think The Force Awakens is an excellent introduction to a new era of Star Wars, even though I know people say there's a little bit of a retread of A New Hope. But listen, this is Star Wars. Everything in it was very Star Warsy. The energy was great. It's so well paced. It's exciting. I can't tell you how good it made me feel when we're in the theater and they're running from the TIE fighters. Finn and Rey are running from the stormtroopers and the TIE fighters and all this, and they're headed towards this ship. They're like, let's take this ship. The ship explodes. Great humor. The ship explodes, and they're like, shoot. And everyone's kind of laughing like, the ship exploded. What are they going to do? And, no, wait, sorry, back up. So they're running, right? And Finn says, what about that ship? And she says, no, that's a piece of junk. Let's get this ship. The ship then they were going to blows up. Everybody kind of laughs. And then she goes, all right, the piece of junk it is. And the camera spins. And you see with this tar plate over, you see the Falcon. And I'm telling you, people went wild in the theater. I'm not imagining this. They went insane. Okay, maybe it was me. They lost their minds, even though everybody knew the Millennium Falcon was going to be in this. It was in the trailers. It was in all the promo stuff. But they lost their minds. It was just imagine cutting to this moment in my life, and it's just me going, yeah! And everyone else just cool. All right. Okay, there we go. Sorry, had something in my nose there. I don't think I've watched it again since the theater. It's good. I really like it. I really like it a lot. Now, some of the negative things I'd say about it are now looking back at the direction things went. I'm a little let down. I'm a little let down by just the mystery that was created and the cool idea that well, I guess at this point we didn't really know who she was. That's conversation for The Last Jedi. But there was a lot of really cool themes that came out. A lot of cool reveals, a lot of wow, how did we get here? It set up this whole idea that man, they're going to go back and start filling this in with more content. And it's going to be so cool to learn about how Kylo fell to the dark side, who Snoke is, and what's his importance, and how the First Order rose to power. What happened to Han? How did he lose the Falcon? All of these things that set up that are I think is actually very clever for a movie to do, because knowing Star Wars and knowing now that Disney had purchased it, we knew we were going to get more stuff, and they were going to fill in these gaps with information. And that's great for somebody who used to love the EU, because it's this is stuff that now Legends, this is stuff that we can look forward to in books and TV shows and graphic novels and all this kind of stuff. So I left that movie on a high. I have not felt since then, to be completely honest, because this is I know that there are people who didn't like it, but the most I heard about this movie when it first came out, not later, but when it first came out, was well, it's a retread of A New Hope, and it's not really, but it was fun. It wasn't until later where the whole Mary Sue stuff started. It wasn't until Last Jedi era that we really move into a very toxic era of the fandom. Yes, some people didn't like it, and if you didn't like it, then it's fine, whatever. But we're starting to move into an era that starts lots of sexism all of a sudden just enters chat, stuff like that. So very good feeling. Yes, even though it was 2017, still a little bit of nostalgia. Thank you, Alps. Thank you for that. Still a little bit of nostalgia for it. As someone who avoids trailers, etc., that was a huge surprise. That's awesome. I remember cheering at home when it came to DVD. That's awesome. See, that's the feeling. That's what I want out of Star Wars. I want to just be excited. It made me excited for it was a good time to be a Star Wars fan. We were eating good in Star Wars land. I'm telling you, it was good. Thank God they didn't end up killing off Poe like they wanted to. Yeah, the characters were the main thing I liked about The Force Awakens. True, and what will lead me to some criticism later on. Very true. A sexism jump scare. Everyone in the theater shouted when they saw the Falcon, Han, Chewie, and Leia. Yep. Yeah, and everybody did the same thing when he was like, Chewie, we're home. Like, people lost their minds. It was great. It was great. What is friend channel? Because I forgot. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. Excuse me. You cannot like something, but when you start attacking the actors to the point where they need to disconnect their socials, that's just disgusting. Absolutely. We'll talk about that. Actually, not yet. We have another movie in between that. So after The Force Awakens came out, I think the very next year we got Rogue One, which I greatly enjoy. Rogue One. You know, I feel like it's fair to put Rogue One somewhere around A New Hope. It works really well with A New Hope. Rogue One is very good. And I really like the Andor series as well. That's building up on that even more. The last what 20-30 minutes of that movie is some of the best Star Wars I think I've ever seen. You get a great space fight. You get a ground war with all this cool stuff happening, and then you get lightsabers, or a lightsaber, in one of the most chilling scenes I think I've ever seen that everyone wants to try to replicate now. You get Saw Gerrera, right? Who's that? Who's Saw Gerrera? I don't guess I know that character. That's a lesser known character. He only showed up one time, never in any other media at all. Scarif is an absolutely awesome planet. I agree. You haven't seen Rogue One? Rogue One's so good. It's a direct tie-in to the first movie, to A New Hope. Like they back up to each other. And that's one thing I didn't know, and I think all of us didn't know, is I knew it took place right before the events of A New Hope, but I didn't know it was like, you can literally stop watching Rogue One and then pick up A New Hope, and it's like right there. It's like minutes later. It's so great. It's so great. Are you gonna pin me down and force me to watch it? Nah. I think you'd like it. You don't need to know Star Wars that well. True. Yeah, Mrs. Nodder liked the Darth Vader scene. I think Mrs. Nodder liked it up until, of course, we've spoiled most of it now that there's a lot of death in it. So sorry about that. But I do think it, oh man, I haven't watched it in a long time. That might be the next movie I watch. It isn't an episode number. So at this point, they were doing this thing called Star Wars Stories. They're standalone movies they were doing. So it's called Rogue One. It's actually called Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story. They're doing like these standalone. Solo is another one. Solo was the last one. They're not doing the Star Wars story moniker, even though I think that's a mistake. And I'll get into that criticism in just a minute as we get a little more. So I don't know. I like Rogue One. I think it actually might need to be higher. It might need to be higher. Now, like, granted, all these things are only good because of the I don't like how low the originals are getting, to be, if I'm being completely honest with you, but like, they definitely need to be grouped together. But oh gosh, make Solo 2 happen. We will get to Solo. We will get to Solo very soon. But for right now, I don't like how low 3 is getting. I get it. For now, the next thing we need to get to. You'll notice missing absently from this list, and I have thought about this a lot. And I've done some soul searching, and I recently rewatched this movie again. And I've really tried to ignore other people's thoughts and feelings on this and go with what my own feeling is and what my gut is telling me. And what my gut is telling me, guys. And what a very recent rewatch is telling me. That the very divisive opinion I have. Oops, I misclicked. Is that Star Wars The Last Jedi, it might be my favorite Star Wars movie. Now here's a couple of things that break this down for me. A couple of things that ruin this for me. This is episode 7. So episode 6 was Force Awakens. Episode 7. I'm sorry, episode 8. I'm sorry. Episode 7. What am I thinking? Episode 7 was The Force Awakens. Episode 8 is The Last Jedi. The only good opinion you've had. At the time that this came out, I was blown away by what they did with this. One, it's visually absolutely gorgeous. The only other Star Wars film that I think looks better, like is visually shot like in a way that just looks gorgeous, especially like in 4K, is Rogue One. Rogue One looks very good as well. It was probably the best looking Star Wars film up until The Last Jedi. They might be pretty equal too. I didn't really care too much for what happened with Leia in that one. So I'll start talking negatives first. I didn't really care too much what happened with Leia. However, I've also kind of moved on from that to where I don't really care. Yeah. Ben Swallow. Yep. They introduced Ben Swallow. Like, it was also very sad about Carrie Fisher's passing. I don't think they had much of a choice for what they did. However, had she passed the character, had the character passed when she got shot out into space, I think I would have been okay with that. I would have been like, wow, this kid just killed both his parents and doesn't care. There's no redemption for Ben Solo. Like, he has literally killed both his parents. I think that would have been powerful. And in a way, I guess he kind of does, because she never really fully recovers from that whole thing. She comes out definitely wounded, and on her, she dies pretty soon after that, right? But it was set up how powerful Leia was with the Force with formal Jedi training. Absolutely. Visually, when I look at that scene of her pulling herself back to the ship, it's like, that's weird. But in the lore, I have no problem with that. More importantly, he killed Admiral Akbar. That's the real problem. I mean, she technically did have some formal training, as we saw in the flashbacks. Luke was pretty much like, I taught her everything that I could, and that's when she had the vision about Ben falling and was like, I can't do this. I can't be a Jedi. So she did have like at least as much training as somebody in this era could get, because there weren't many Jedi left over. So, but yeah, like, I'm completely fine with her being powerful in the Force, especially in ways that are like different than Luke. You know, she's not out there like doing a whole bunch of like, you know, Force stuff. She's much more emotionally based. And she has connections with people. She can sense things over great distances. That's kind of her strength in the Force, you know. Would your ranking be all of them at 1? Yeah. I love the Force pull scene, even if it looked a little silly. That's the only thing about that, is that it just does look a little bit silly. And it did make a lot of people be like, huh? Like, really? Okay. I do think it would have been emotionally so much more powerful had that been how she passed. And I also think then we wouldn't have as many problems in the next film that we're going to talk about. Yeah. But Crate, the planet Crate, that whole fight. And also, like, I used to say I don't like the Canto Bight scene, but like Canto Bight actually has grown on me as well. I like when they land the shuttle on the beach and that guy's like, hey, you can't park there. Like, there's just little things like that that's pretty funny. Kanan did the same thing in Rebels. Many other Jedi have done even more powerful things than that. So like the power scale it took to do that doesn't concern me at all. It was all just the visual of it looked weird. That's it. Canto Bight was cool. Yeah, like, I think I actually really enjoy, the more I think about it, I enjoy the message of like, listen, war is funded by both sides. And you might think that like, oh, it's just the bad guys who are funding war. And it's like, well, you know, there's interests that are funding war that fund both sides, and keeping conflict going is very lucrative for them. And I think that's actually a really good message to send out, that like, now I think DJ had the wrong message of that he's like, look, all these sides are the same. That was his whole point. It was like, you're all the same. You think you're fighting for what's right. They think they're fighting for what's right. So I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just in it for the money. DJ was wrong in that, in his conclusion to that, but he was right in his hypothesis that, like, yeah, the whole thing about Star Wars and everything that's been funded and all this conflict that this galaxy stays in is a direct, is making some people rich. And isn't that, oh, Zeke wants me to turn on the walkie-talkie. Sorry, hang on. Sorry about that, buddy. Go ahead.
Morning time.
It is morning time. Good morning. Little Spider-Man. What is he gonna say? What you doing?
No, it's just like handle this about it's just because it's a feature so long now.
I didn't follow that. Are you saying that it's not 800 yet, but you're asking if you can come down? Over.
I don't want to come down. Oh, is that okay?
That is okay. You can come down. I think he's coming. Okay. Anyway, yeah, he does look like this. He puts it right next to his mouth. Guys, it's almost 8 already. How am I not done with I'm not gonna get to this tier list. I'm not gonna get to this one. What was I thinking? I'm not even gonna get to Lego Fortnite at this point. Listen, this is actually kind of a joke. This is sort of a joke. I knew I wasn't gonna get through this one, but I thought it'd be funny. I thought it would be kind of funny, but I'm not even through this one yet. Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Oh, here, I'll turn that off now. Oh, here. What?
I know that. That's it.
What is that?
That's the Falcon.
It is the Millennium Falcon. Yeah. Hey. I am your father. He's just like, okay. What you gonna do? Oh, we gotta give mommy her presents. I tell you what, let me wrap things up here, and then we'll give mommy her presents, and then we'll do something, okay? Are you gonna play? You gonna play? Okay. Yeah, hang on. Let me finish this out. I still have 2 movies to talk about, one of which is gonna take a long time to talk about. Everybody's saying good morning. Did you hear that? He said, good morning, guys. I'm going to play Spider-Man so you can watch me again. He was kind of into you guys watching him play Spider-Man. I'm hoping... Got it? Yeah, go up. There you go. Let me turn the volume up for you. What?
Are you talking to your friends?
I am talking to my friends. Yep, I'm streaming right now. I'm doing some Star Wars stuff. I'd rather do that than listen to the movie rant. Stop it. You're going to hear it whether you like it or not. You work for me now. I throw money at Zeke for his college fund. Yeah, just set him up on a Twitch account and just all the bits go to his college fund. Okay. What else can I say? I really like The Last Jedi. I like the themes of The Last Jedi. I like the fact that I like Rey being a nobody. I like that. So there's a lot of stuff that I believe The Last Jedi set up. I love the twist of killing Snoke, and then that whole fight scene. That whole fight scene in the throne room there is just it's good Star Wars. Like, it's really good Star Wars. It's so much fun. Yeah, you are. And then Luke's sacrifice at the end I thought was also like really, really cool. The fact that he was able to like project himself there and show a beacon of hope to a galaxy that had lost all its hope, And like we saw that at the very end of the movie with the kids who were like telling the story about like Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. He shows up and he saves the day, and it inspires a new generation. I think it's just such a great like, the themes in that are some of my favorites. Unfortunately, okay, well, should we talk about Rise of Skywalker next? I feel like let's talk about Solo last. Technically, it was the next movie. Well, no, we're going to talk Solo because listen, here's what happened. What? Robbers. I'll let you see him beat some people up. So here's what happened with Solo. A lot of people hated The Last Jedi. A lot of the more hardcore fans, this is where the stuff really started hitting the fan. The misogyny, the sexism, I don't know, maybe racism to a point. But there's a lot of people who just don't like Rey as a protagonist. They think she's a Mary Sue, and especially with the fact that The Last Jedi established, as they did establish at the time, that Rey was basically just a nobody. And they didn't like how a nobody could be so powerful in the Force, even though, like, at the end of the day, we're all nobodies, you know? So I actually like that as a theme. No, it's okay. Hey, Zeke, just be a little quieter, okay? Just so that I can hear myself think. Is that cool? Thank you. Blow that piece of junk out of the sky. It's such a great scene. But so because so many people didn't like The Last Jedi, which still surprises me, this movie right here got tanked in reviews. I would say it got hate bombed by people who I just don't think they gave it a fair chance, to be completely honest. I don't think they did. And that the downfall of Solo is that it made Kathleen Kennedy decide that they're not going to recast people anymore, and they're going to stop with the Star Wars story. What would you call it? They had a whole bunch of them planned. What is it I'm trying to say? The Star Wars story film setup, whatever you want to call it, whatever. I don't know what word I'm even looking for. But the reality is expanded universe, standalone films, anthology films. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for trying to help me. I appreciate it. But the reality is that Solo, a Star Wars story, is so much fun and is in its own right a very fun film that I also think people who don't watch a lot of Star Wars can also enjoy. And I love it a lot. I have a podcast. Well, I don't right now, but we had a podcast where Kay and I were going to see movies, and we would do, on the drive to the movies, we would record us just talking about, like, what do we expect out of the movie? What do we think it's going to do? And we recorded one for this particular movie. And we were like, we're not expecting a whole lot. As long as it's decent, we'll be happy, but I'm kind of expecting it to be kind of bad. Yeah, we did that. We called it Before and After for a little while there. I think we did that, and Rise of Skywalker, I think, was the only ones we ended up doing. Right? I think so. Anyway, so, we're kind of like, okay, well, let's see how this is. And then the audio cuts, and then it comes back to us, like, coming back from the movie, and a couple seconds of silence, and then I'm like, what did we just see? Why was that so much better than... and, of course, you all remember, like, the production woes of this, too, right? The guys from the Lego movie, Chris Miller and Phil Lord, I think that's their names. They were working on this, and they had a vision for it, and apparently, like, Lucasfilm executives didn't like it, and so they, like, X'd him and then brought in Ron Howard to finish it out. Like, it had every marking to just be a train wreck, like an actual train wreck. I was like, there's no way. I think this movie's just too much happened during the pre-production for it to make any sense whatsoever. But when we came back in there, we were both giddy. Streamers in cars watching movies, yeah. No, it was still just we had an old podcast thing that actually still happens to be out there, but a lot of it is cringe. A lot of it is. But we were giddy. Even Kay liked it. And like Kay didn't like The Last Jedi. I think to this day still doesn't like it. But we were both giddy. It was like, it felt like such a nice like refresh where you could like pump the brakes and be like, I think everyone's going to love this movie. And then I started seeing things online right after and started seeing the review bombings because people didn't like The Last Jedi. That I lost all faith in the Star Wars fandom at that point. It was just disappointing to me. What? You're on a boat. That's cool. The guy's on a boat. It's just like me, for real. I'm on a boat. So I actually really I'm a Solo evangelist. I feel like if people are like burned out on Star Wars, and they're like, I don't really even know what I want to do. If you've seen like the originals, right, which I think most people probably have other than AMS, then I think like a perfect place to jump in is like, go watch Solo. It's just fun. There might be something at the very end I'll have to help explain to you because it won't make a lot of sense. But other than that, it's a fun little standalone film. It's a fun adventure. It's like a heist. It's like a heist movie. There's criminal elements. Oh no. Master Zeke, what are we going to do? There's too many of them. Hi. That was very menacing, Zeke. Anyway, be careful where you're swinging that, all right? So I don't watch the movies. Got it. No, you can. You should. You should. But yeah, Solo, A Star Wars Story, I really think it's up there for me. I can't believe how much of the new stuff is this high, but I remember enjoying Solo, and then it got trashed by everyone I knew that liked Star Wars. Yeah, I really think it was a reaction to The Last Jedi, because The Last Jedi is divisive. I'll give you that. It really is. And Rian Johnson was trying to be divisive. He was trying to subvert your expectations. He said that time and time again. And he did. And whether or not you like that as like a movie trope is up to you. Be careful. I'm just waiting for him to whack me upside the head. Please don't hurt me. Gonna tell Zeke not to break any light fixtures like his father before him has done. Shh, we don't talk about that. I did break a light with it. Yeah, it's up there, man. All right, let's do the last one, and then we'll figure out from there where we go. Whoa. All right, so listen, The Rise of Skywalker. So after The Last Jedi came out and was not received very well by a lot of people, and then Solo kind of bombing because I think directly because of The Last Jedi. Lucasfilm reacted. They reacted to the lesser, what is it called? What's that expression? They reacted to the least of us. They reacted to the negativity in the fan base. And I think personally for the Star Wars fan base, that is the worst thing you can do, is to react to the negativity. Because I don't think as we've seen from me personally, I don't think the negativity was warranted. I like the new stuff so much that like I just don't think most people's complaints about it hold much water. Like again, there can be things about it that you don't like, and I'm fine with that. But I think to trash it to the degree that they are, and to see some of the toxic stuff that's been said about the actors, the actresses, the directors, the death threats, like all this kind of stuff, that's way, way off base. They're actually very good movies with a lot of passion and heart behind them, especially for such a big like corporation like Disney. Like you don't see that often, but like I see that passion here. I think J.J. Abrams knocked it out of the park. I think they should have stuck with whoever the director was they were getting for the last one. Yes, sir? Huh? I don't know if that's Peter's house. Maybe. So Lucasfilm did what I think is probably, I don't think they should have done, and did a very reactive film. And how do I know it's reactive? How do I know that? I don't want to say retcon so much. I don't think retcon is the right term. It's close though. It's close. How do I know that they did that? Well, for one, They bring J.J. Abrams back. Yeah, Colin Trevorrow. Yeah, it could have. So I saw his story treatment, and it wasn't amazing. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is it. It was kind of like, eh. But I think they should have stuck to their guns. I think that they should make what they plan to make, and they shouldn't be so reactive to the fan base. But I know that they did because they reforged Kylo Ren's helmet, which he makes a very poignant thing in The Last Jedi about killing the past. It's all about killing the past, letting it die, moving on in a way. He does it in a more toxic way because he's the bad guy. But the theme is really about you got to let go. You have to let go of your expectations. You have to let go of the past. He says kill it if you have to. You don't have to kill it, but you can let it go. You can be at peace, just like Luke was at the very end. You can be at peace with yourself and with your place in the galaxy and your role and your failure, being okay with your failure and learning from it was a huge theme. So then they go back and they say, okay, Kylo Ren didn't learn anything. You know, he destroyed his helmet because he was tired of being seen as a child playing in a mask. He wanted to be taken seriously, so he destroys his helmet. So then in The Rise of Skywalker, for apparently no reason whatsoever other than he wanted to, they reforge his helmet. They also reforged the Skywalker lightsaber, which they also destroyed in The Last Jedi. It's technically something that can be possible and be done, but why would you not just give Rey her own lightsaber at that point? Like, the whole point was about severing the ties to the Skywalker legacy so that they can go on to create their own thing. And they should have stuck with that. Rey should have a new lightsaber. Kylo should now be Supreme Leader, which he is. He is the big bad. He's the guy who needs to be taken down because he's so dangerous for the galaxy. He killed both his parents, for crying out loud. Like, he's a bad guy, and now he's the supreme ruler of so much of the Imperial Remnant. I mean, it's a mixture of the First Order. He's a leader of a very dangerous group of people, like really, really bad guys who have destroyed multiple planets. I think he's enough of a threat that we didn't need a bigger threat. We didn't need one. Another one is they decide to bring Palpatine back because they killed Snoke in the last one. And instead of leaning into that and going, okay, what does that mean? Because I remember leaving The Last Jedi and being like, I have no idea what they're going to do in this next movie. And I'm so excited. I'm so just like over the moon at the possibility of like Kylo Ren becoming this supreme leader, this force, this chaotic force of evil. Probably one of the most evil people we've seen in Star Wars outside of Palpatine himself, which then they had to bring him in to overshadow Kylo. There was just a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff. Another thing I didn't really like about The Rise of Skywalker is the chemistry between the characters felt so off. They were so close in the previous films, especially Finn and Poe, and in this one they felt like they didn't like each other. I don't know why that happened or where that happened, but it felt that they were antagonistic towards each other the entire movie, and it was so out of character that it didn't make any sense. So they bring JJ back in, and they basically just are like, okay, you need to pull us back from this. We need to make a relatively safe movie. We need a big bad guy that they can go and destroy, and Rey can be the winner at the end. And, you know, I'm all for Rey. I'm actually all for Rey Skywalker. I think that's completely fine and valid. I'm cool with that. The reasons why I don't like The Rise of Skywalker are so different than the reasons why your typical toxic Star Wars fan might not like Rise of Skywalker. That being said, just like every other movie we've talked about, there are things about it that I like a lot. I love the duel in the Death Star ruins. I built a Lego thing about the duel in the Death Star ruins. You can't quite see it. It's like right there. Wait. There it is. Right there. You see it? Yeah. Zeke knows what I'm talking about. I think that duel is amazing. I think that's fun. It's really, really cool. They wanted to get away from the gay accusations. Exactly. They wanted to and that's another thing about Disney is they really wanting to push that back as far as they can until they don't have a choice anymore, basically, you know? Which could have been the intention of the characters to begin with, is that they weren't gay, and that would have been fine. But yeah, like they had to like put a line in the sand and say, no, you know, okay. They also push Rose to the sideline, simply because all the hate that Rose got from The Last Jedi, to where Kelly Marie Tran had to just delete her entire online presence, and I don't blame her. And so then they sidelined her character too. And it's like, way to have the characters back. They could have done just the coolest thing in the world if they had taken all this stuff from the toxic fans, what they were saying about that movie, and said, you know what? We don't care. This is the story. Rose is going to be a main figure in it. Rey is a nobody. I think that was a big theme for me from The Last Jedi. It's why I love The Last Jedi so much. Anybody, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who your family is. Anybody can be a powerful Force user. And that's true. So like, then they're like, oh, just kidding. You're a Palpatine from a certain point of view. You know, it's like, oh, why? Oh. Why? And going back to what Ursa said earlier, it's because they didn't have a clear vision. They 100%, I won't say the word retcon, they 100% reacted to the worst side of the fandom. And there are people out there who generously enjoy this movie, and I'm all for you. I think that that's fine. I'm all for you liking this movie. Again, there's things about it that I like a lot. I love Rey Skywalker. Rey Skywalker is fine. She can stay. I'm excited for what they're going to do with her new Jedi Order movie. I say bring it on. I hope that they remain brave. I hope that they stay brave and they take a chance, just like they did on The Last Jedi. And then when they take a chance, they need to stick with it and not be so reactive. Yes. Oh, he says, look, guys. I'm sorry.
Flying to New York City.
Flying to New York City. Wow. That's amazing, buddy. That is my that is my big speech on The Rise of Skywalker. There's a lot more I could say. This movie made me refuse to support J.J. Abrams anymore. It was just, I don't even know how much of that was J.J. Abrams' fault, to be completely honest. I think it is indicative of studio meddling in a film, which it's Disney. They're gonna meddle. The lightsaber battles were the only things I enjoyed. Same. I like that too. I'm not even like so caught up on Kylo or Ben coming back to the light side. It's fine. Then they instantly kill him. So it's like, cool. Okay, cool. He comes back to the light side at the very end when it doesn't matter anymore. When now we don't have an interesting character. I thought Ben Solo was a very interesting character, and a lot of things kind of get ruined in this movie. I like the dyad thing, because I had a theory from the beginning of The Force Awakens that there was a connection between Rey and Kylo where when he was near her, she grew stronger. Because, what, buddy? What? Uh-huh. Kylo Ren wanted to be a good guy because he wanted to help people. Well, at the very end, yes. Right. I think it's fine the way that he went out, Ursa. Yeah. That's another one where the ending made me sob. Yeah. And why did they make them kiss? Why did they make them kiss? That's the other thing that I'm like, why? Like, why? That didn't need to be. Again, it felt very reactive. It's like, well, we gotta put a little love interest in there, you know? Oh my gosh. I can't believe it's taken me this whole time to get through this, guys. What's up, buddy? What? Yeah, Kylo Ren's real name is Ben Solo. Yep, you're right. He's got it. So this isn't a movie that I'm gonna like not ever watch again. Zeke and I watched it just the other day because I wanted to have a fresh pair of eyes on it. This isn't a movie that we'll skip or anything like that. I don't not like it for the reasons that a lot of other people don't like it. I'm friends with a lot of people who really, really enjoy The Rise of Skywalker. In fact, their list would have Rise of Skywalker up here where I have The Last Jedi. And I respect those people and I understand with those people. Yes, Zeke. What? You gonna go to Sunrise?
I'm tasting the water, and that's the Empire State.
Oh, that is the Empire State Building. That's so cool. And that is why I say to you now, in this moment, that I've been lying to you. That I said episode 2 is my least favorite Star Wars movie. And that was a diversion. That was a lie. Survey says that was a lie. I think it's Rise of Skywalker. And I hate that because I love the new stuff. Like you can see there, I don't have problems with this. It is strictly this one movie. The way they also sideline Finn into like never telling Rey what he wanted to say, which I'm pretty sure was that he was force sensitive, and then just sort of alluding to it. He said a bad word? Oh no. Yeah, we shouldn't say that. The transition from Kylo to Ben was good. That was a cool part where he does a little like, and then fights the Knights of Ren, who also were like, okay, who were those guys? But yeah. Again, as I was saying with Attack of the Clones, there's good to be had in here. There's still fun moments in here. The light speed skipping in the beginning, I like a lot. Coleman, I think, is like, what? But I kind of like that part. I hate how they dismissed Rose since people didn't like her. I loved her. Exactly. It was Disney caving to the worst of us and creating something that is subpar compared to what they had before. And this is why people will say that folks like me who speak positively about the sequels are like Disney shills or something, like I'm getting paid by Disney to do this. And it's just not true, because it's like, this isn't what I wanted. This wasn't the ending I wanted. I would much rather we have a world where Rey came from essentially nobody, where she was essentially no one and rose up through power in the Force because anyone can be a Jedi. And the hopeful message at the end of The Last Jedi is some of my favorite Star Wars. And then they went, boom. Yeah. Not ruining anything, but people should watch Bad Batch. I hope they take that train and take off into other projects. I think they probably will. Yeah. Lightspeed skipping doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't, but it's cool. It really doesn't make a ton of sense. What made less sense to me, I was watching it and I sent a message to Coleman at that time. I was like, so I get that they're just lightspeed skipping, but how is the First Order following them? And then he reminded me of the tracking from The Last Jedi, and I was like, okay, I guess that makes more sense. But there it is, guys. I'm actually pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with this tier. The more I talk about Rise of Skywalker, the more I get it just doesn't make me mad. It just makes me a little sad because it could have been so much better. And I respect all the actors and actresses and everyone that was involved in it. They don't deserve any hate for it, but it's 100% a studio really reacted and was just like, listen, just put out something that's going to make us a couple $2 billion, and we don't really care. We don't really care about The Last Jedi. You can kind of, and that's what makes me even more mad, is because The Last Jedi was so good that it felt like they didn't care about what they created, you know? And I would much rather a Lucasfilm who leans into what they want. And they're like, look, this is a story we're telling. We're sorry you don't like it, but we're taking it in a direction that we have thought about and planned out, please. And you can just get over it, you know? And that's why I am going to be very excited to see Rey's movie in a couple years here. And see, I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping they kind of. I'm hoping it might redeem. I'm hoping it might redeem The Rise of Skywalker for me. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your birthday with Star Wars, Mrs. Nutter. Absolutely. Yes, I need to probably go then. I can't believe I only got through that. I really thought. So here's what I thought would happen. I thought we'd get through this one relatively quick. But turns out I love to talk about Star Wars. Then I thought I would go, okay, we're going to do this next one. And then everyone would be like, oh, God. Like, oh, no, we're not doing this, right? I don't even think this is every set. And then I'd be like, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go through all this. Let's go play Fortnite Star Wars. And I didn't even get to Fortnite Star Wars. So I'm going to have to do that some other day, I guess. But I want to. I need to rewatch some. Absolutely, you should. For those of you who are thinking about, like, maybe I should give Star Wars a shot. There's a lot of different theories on the best way to watch it, but I really just think make it easy on yourself. Just go in the order they were released. Start with A New Hope. Just go through them in the order they were released. Just do it. Just do it, Ams. You know, just do it. If you want to get into it, you don't need to overcomplicate things. Just go through it the way that it was intended, the way that everyone watched it, and you'll be fine. It feels like a lot. This is 11 films. There's also a lot of side stuff, but we can talk about that at a later date. But yeah, I think there's some good stuff in here that's just kind of standalone. Solo is a lot of fun. I think kids especially would like Solo, maybe a little bit older kids, but I know I love it. I love it a lot. I just like Star Wars. What can I say, guys? I might like Star Wars a little bit. You know? What are you playing? Oh, he's playing the Lego Marvel one. Oh, cool. Is that Hawkeye and Black Widow? Very cool. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for me today. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful Saturday. We're going to go celebrate Mrs. Nonder next. Just had to do it one more time. We're going to go celebrate Mrs. Nonder. Now that Star Wars Day is officially behind us, we can go celebrate Mrs. Nonder and have
it's Chuck Norris's water. It's a roundhouse kick of hydration.
Bogan. Is Bogan here? Good day, Bogan. Sorry, we're getting ready to go. May the 4th be with you, too. And also with you. Thanks, Bogan. I hope you have a great day. Let's see. So I remember we told Lars that we're going to end a little bit early. Did they end up starting? Yes. I saw Spud live, and I saw Lars right above Spud, and I saw Helldivers 2, and I thought Lars was playing Helldivers 2, and I got really excited for a second. But I'm very happy to see Spud playing Helldivers 2, because man, that is such a fun game. I'd love to play more with Spud. It's just our time zones are so off, you know? Got the raid going. Baldur's Gate 3 with Lars. I hope you all enjoy that. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to my mods, Lars and Ams, who got to flex. Ams got to flex those mod muscles today. Thank you so much for that. What am I looking at? Spider-Man? Is that Venom? Yep. Fighting Venom. All right, everybody. Yes, I will see you Monday. Have a great weekend. May the 4th be with us all. And I'll see you same time, same place, same non. Maybe even still. Maybe I'm just gonna make this whole cloak thing my thing now. I'm just gonna always wear it. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for putting up with all the Star Wars talk. That was a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be. Goodbye. Live long and prosper.